Welcome everyone to another episode of Mike's House of Movies. This is your host Mike, and we're going to jump right into it tonight. Tonight's review is on Warcraft. Directed by Duncan Jones, who was the director of such movies as Moon and Source Code. This time he's tasked with bringing the story of the original Warcraft game, Orcs vs. Humans, to the big screen. And I think the main problem this movie's had with critics is a lot of critics, especially early on, thought this was a World of Warcraft movie and were not impressed that it wasn't as lighthearted and fun as they had in the game World of Warcraft. They thought the story was too gritty, too dark, too serious, and it wasn't, all fun and rainbows like they thought they were having in the MMO. That being aside, the main story is this: Gul'dan and his band of orcs need to move to a new land. Their world is dying and they need a new world to live in. They open up a portal and end up in Azeroth. Here, this is ruled by King Lane Rin, played by Dominic Cooper, and is under the protection of Medivh, who's the guardian of Azeroth. Is played by Ben Foster. Ben Foster, as you may know, was the stranger from the vampire movie 30 Days and Nights. I love this guy in that, and I absolutely loved him as Medivh in Warcraft. Warcraft to me is a great film. I love fantasy, and I love the lore of Warcraft, and I thought Duncan Jones did a great job of bringing Warcraft to the big screen. It is a lot of fun, beautiful to look at. It is rushed, though, in certain spots because of 30 to 40 minutes that need to be taken out by the studios because they wanted a shorter movie for the summer blockbuster. They didn't want a 2.5, 3 hour epic for their blockbuster movies, so he was kind of forced to take 30 to 40 minutes out, and you can see at points it does seem very rushed. If you're a Warcraft fan, I think you're going to absolutely enjoy this film. If you're not, you may want to bone up a little bit on who the characters are and some of the lore of the backstory, because there is a lot of lore and a lot of characters we thrust at you in a short amount of time. And I feel it may get lost on people that don't know the story of Warcraft or who are not fans of the game. One thing I did notice in the movie, it didn't feel like a video game adaptation. If you took Warcraft out of the picture, I feel this would stand up on its own as a great fantasy film. And to me, it feels like high fantasy done right. It's handled with a lot of care, and it definitely shows that he was a true fan of the source material, and I think brings respect to the source material. Is it dark? Yes. Is it serious? Yes, it takes itself very seriously. There are some light moments in it, but they work great. My only downside of the movie, again, is the pacing. It does seem rushed at times, but again, I think once we get the extended cut, which Duncan Jones said he would do if this does well, it's already made over $100 million overseas. It placed number one in 19 out of 20 countries when it opened, and it's already the second biggest opening in China. So the overseas market is doing great. Hopefully it does as well, if not better, in the domestic market, and I think that's where it may falter. I know a lot of people herald as Rotten Tomatoes as the gods of reviews, and the critics are not liking this movie at all. And I really haven't seen any favorable critic reviews with this. Fan reviews, on the other hand, they are absolutely loving it. They're going again and again and again to this film because they're absolutely eating this movie up, and as they should. I feel it does bring respect to the Warcraft lore, and it's just a fun movie to watch. The motion capture for the orcs is absolutely amazing. It's some of the best motion capture I've seen this side of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and it really brings you in and attaches you to these characters. Durotan, his wife, Doomhammer, even Gul'dan is as vicious as that guy is. And on the human side, I thought their stories were handled well as well. They're not given as much to do as the orcs, but it seems like Blizzard usually favors the Horde more than the Alliance anyway, and they always seem to get more of the meat of the story. And really, though, it is the story of the orcs and their adaptation to the new land that they're in. Durotan, the chieftain of the Frostwind clan, he starts to feel that something is not right with the orcs, and he believes Gul'dan is the problem with that. and he's the one that starts to initiate the alliance with the humans of Azeroth, and he feels that with their help they may be able to put a stop to Gul'dan, because alone they're not going to be able to do it. He's too powerful. I'm not going to give much more away than that. It's a great movie, great story, wonderfully shot and directed by Duncan Jones. The art direction is amazing. It's beautiful to look at. The soundtrack is phenomenal. I have it on repeat on my iPod right now, actually. It's absolutely just great all around. The only nitpick I have with this movie is the pacing. It's like I said, it's just a little rushed in times, but duly noted, like I said, there was a good chunk taken out, so that's more than likely the case of why the movie seems rushed at times. But it's definitely, if you're a Warcraft fan, or even if you're not, but you love fantasy, do yourself a favor and go see this film. This film is absolutely phenomenal. It made me feel like the Fellowship of the Ring did, that now maybe we can get a Dragonlance film or a Forgotten Realms movie, and I believe with what I've seen from Warcraft that will be totally possible, and if in the right hands could bring justice to those films, because I remember that bad Dungeons and Dragons movie back in the day with Thora Birch and Jeremy Irons. Like, no, I don't believe we would ever get a movie that bad again. But what I've seen from Warcraft, it's possible that we can finally get the fantasy films that fantasy fans deserve. And I believe if you're a fan of Warcraft, you'll absolutely love this film. I give this film 4.5 out of 5 easy, and I easily recommend this to anyone who's looking for a great movie to watch this weekend. Definitely check out Warcraft. It will be so much worth your time. Again, this is Mike from Mike's House of Movies. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comments field. If you've already seen this film and you want to tell us what you thought, drop us a line. Or if you haven't seen it and you're planning on it, drop us a line as well. You can subscribe, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud. We're also, because of SoundCloud, we're also on iTunes. So you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. I hope you have a great day, and see Warcraft.